Now, I think if there is any underrated movie in this series, it is 6. I think this one has a very interesting tone. It's quite different to the previous ones. It feels almost like a comic book. It really does remind me a lot of Batman, the Tim Burton 1989 movie, which I can't imagine was a direct influence on this because they are both released in the same year, so they must have been filmed at the same time. So it's hard to imagine that this was influenced by Batman, and yet when I watch it, visually it's very reminiscent. It just feels like a comic book to me. I think this is a much more sophisticated movie than the others. The director, Peter Bonners, appears to actually have a bit of a visual sensibility, and it's not just straightforward point the camera at the people. It feels like there's been some production design. They've crafted a particular look to the city, and the cinematography is a bit more gritty in a comic book way. As I say, very reminiscent of Batman, and I think it's by far the best directed in the series, and it's slightly more sophisticated almost as a piece of film work. It feels like a bit of money was spent on it, and it's well put together. I really think this movie's worthwhile, and I watched it this time and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed this more than any of the others in the series. I think it has more jokes than the other movies, better jokes than the other movies, and quite broad jokes. And I laughed out loud quite a few times throughout this, like when Fackler was walking through the corridors of the police station and causing chaos, or when Harris had the chair stuck to his backside, or when Harris was on the window washer platform. There were some very good laughs there. I think it's relatively sophisticated as a piece of filmmaking. There's some craft to this that I don't think you can really point to in the other movies. It is a lot more interesting stylistically than the others, and as I say, tonally quite a bit different, but in a good way. It keeps within it. It's the correct tone. It's the Police Academy tone, but turned up a notch. They have just given it a bit more energy, and they've done more with it, and I really enjoyed it and laughed quite a few times. And the action climax is good. It's not better than 5, but it's about on par, almost anyway. I think 5 has the better action climax, but this one's up there. It's almost as good, and the story's a lot more broader. Very comic book, with the mastermind behind a crime spree. It's, as I say, it's very comic book to me, I think, and I just think it's a really well put together movie. And by far and away, it has the strongest plot of any of the movies. This has a proper plot. Every scene almost advances the plot in a linear way. Okay, there's still the occasional sketch and the odd scene that doesn't really go anywhere, but I think there is a proper plot. The others, even 5, which has a proper plot, even it's not a very sophisticated or it's not a big significant plot, but this one really has a proper plot from start to finish. Almost every scene deals with the plot, and I think it's a really good movie. I actually really enjoyed this one. I would give this one, Police Academy 6, 7 out of 10. It's a good movie.